right, so what we're going to do in this segment, in this video, is we're just going to finish up this table. Now we know all the rules, we know how to calculate each one of these variables, we've gone over all of them, we've got our formulas, so let's just jump right in and finish up the last 4 rows. Now what I recommend that you do is to test your knowledge. I think you should try and fill in the rest of the 4 rows on your own, and then watch the rest of this video and see how I do it and see if you got all the same numbers that I get, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and start, and you may, if you're stuck on this first one, you may want to go ahead and watch, but I think you should try the first row on your own because you're only given 2 pieces of information. Now, the first thing we know is I'm going to go ahead and fill in all the rows with quantity because we know they're going up by 1, so 45, 46, 47, and 48. Okay, so the quantity column is done. Let's go ahead and finish filling in fixed cost because fixed cost is 500 all the way down. 500, 500, and that's going to help us a lot, right? And so here with fixed costs, knowing on this row, knowing fixed costs, first of all, knowing price and quantity is going to give us total revenue. So let's go ahead and calculate total revenue. It'll be price times quantity. So 53 times 45 is 2385. So 2385 zeros. Okay, good. Now look over here. We have average variable cost, 3860. Now we know that average variable cost is equal to variable cost divided by quantity. Now we don't know variable cost, but we do know average variable cost, this one, and we know that quantity is 45. And so we can use algebra. If we know that average variable cost is 3560 is equal to variable cost divided by quantity is 45. So look, we can solve for variable cost by multiplying 3560 times 45. So 3560 right here times the quantity 45 gives us 1602. So variable cost is 1602 with zeros there. All right, let me erase these notes here. We don't need those anymore. All right. And so now we have variable cost and fixed cost. That'll give us total cost. So 1602 plus 500 is 2102. Okay. And knowing total revenue and total cost, we can now get profit. So 2385 minus 2102 gives us 283. 283 with zeros. Okay. All right, we're doing pretty good. Now we can get marginal revenue and marginal cost, because we know total revenue and total cost for this line and the previous line. So to get marginal revenue, we're going to do 2385 minus 2334, 20, and that gives us $50.80. So $50.80. And look, we're continuing the trend of marginal revenue getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Marginal cost, we're going to do total cost, 2102, minus the previous 2051 and 20, and that's going to give us $50.80 again. Same answer, 50.80. Okay, good. And now, over here, to get average fixed cost, we're going to do 500 divided by the quantity, which is 45. 500 divided by 45, that's 1111. 1111. Now, we can either add these two together, or we can do total cost. I'd rather do total cost, 2102, divided by the quantity, which is 45. And that gives us 4671. And it gives us the same answer as if you added them together. Okay, 4671. All right, great. Now let's move on to line 46. Let's see, we know fixed cost, we got the quantity, we have total cost, and we have marginal revenue. Well, marginal revenue will give us total revenue. If we do 2385 plus the marginal revenue 5070, 2385 plus 5070 will give us the new total revenue, which is 243570. Now that we know total revenue and total cost, we can find profit. So 243570 minus 2153, that's 282.70. 282.70, good. And now that we know fixed cost and total cost, we can find variable cost. So subtract 500 from total cost, that gives us 1653. So 1653, here we go. And let's see here. And we can find marginal cost because we know total cost and the previous total cost. 2153 minus 2102. And that's 51. Zeros. There we go. Okay. Now, we should be able to find price because we have total revenue, 2435.70, and we can divide it by quantity, 46. So 20. Remember, price is average revenue. So take the revenue divided by quantity, and we get the price, which is the average revenue. 2435.70 divided by 46, and we get 52.95. 52.95. Great. Almost done. Now we just need the averages over here. Average variable cost. So variable cost is 1653 divided by the quantity 46. That's 35.93. Average fixed cost 500 divided by 46. That's 1087. And then average total cost, so total cost is 2153 divided by 46 is 4680. All right, great. And sure enough, it is the summation of these two. Okay. Now 2 more lines. So we know variable cost, we know fixed cost here in quantity 47. We can add those together to get total cost. So 1704.20 plus 500 is 2204.20. 2204.20. We already know total revenue that was given to us, so we can find profit by subtracting total cost from total revenue. Total revenue minus total cost equals profit. That's the original profit equation. 2486.30 cents minus 2204.20 cents is 282.10. So 282.10. Good. We can now we can also use total revenue 2486.30 and divide that by the quantity to get the price. So 2486.30 divided by 47 gives us the price 52.90. 52.90. Great. And now we can find marginal revenue and marginal cost because we know all the total revenue and total cost. Marginal revenue is the total revenue minus the previous total revenue. So 2486.30 minus 2435.70, and that's $50.60. $50.60. I want to say something. I know that we see a pattern here in marginal revenue. I want you to know that the only reason that that pattern exists is because I invented this problem so that it met certain criteria so that you could learn and understand firm financials. That pattern will not always exist in quiz problems, test problems, real life. So if all you're doing is trying to fill in the table just to have the table filled in, you're doing it wrong. You're learning nothing. What you're supposed to be doing is finding the marginal revenue the way that I'm finding the marginal revenue, by going to the total revenue and subtracting the previous total revenue. If you're not doing it that way, you're gonna fail the quiz. You're gonna fail the test, and you're gonna fail when you're possibly doing this in real life and you have a job. Be learning the relationship between these variables and one another. Know how to get these variables even if you're only given 2 pieces of information. If no pattern exists, you still have to know how to get these numbers. That's the point of this lesson. Okay? All right, so marginal cost is total cost minus the previous total cost. So 2204.20 minus 2153. And that's going to give us 51.20. Now, if you're really good with Excel, you can actually set up Excel to do this and automatically populate. That is productive to the learning. That's not against the learning, because in order to be able to program the cells in Excel, you have to know what you're doing. You have to understand the relationships. So if you wanted to try to produce this in Excel, that would make your knowledge and learning even better than what I'm trying to do with you here. Okay. All right, now that we've got marginal revenue, marginal cost, our averages are easy to get. Average variable cost is going to be variable cost, which is 1704.20, divided by the quantity is 47. And so 36.26. 36.26. Then we have average fixed cost, that's 500 divided by 47, which is 1064. Look, getting smaller and smaller. Look at that. Just like I said it would. And then average total cost, we're going to take the total cost, which is 2204.20. 2204.20 divided by the quantity, 47. And it's 46.90. 46, oops, it's supposed to be a 6, sorry. It's a really ugly 6. I think I started with like a 9 or an 8. 46.90. There we go. Okay, great. Last row. You should be able to get this one on your own. And then I'm just going to talk about one or two things. So we know profit. We know marginal cost. Okay, with marginal cost, we can get total cost. If we add the marginal cost to the previous total cost plus new marginal cost gives us new total cost. So we're going to do 2204.20 plus 5140, and that gives us 2255.60. 2255.60. So now we have total cost. Since we have total cost and profit, we know we can add those two together to get total revenue. So 2255.60 plus 281.20 gives us 2536.80. 2536.80. There we go. And since we have fixed cost 500 and we have total cost, we can get variable cost. So total cost 2255.60 minus 500. 2255.60 minus 500 is 1755.60. 1755 and 60 cents. Now I'm not writing it yet. Let me show you why. I want to show you that you can get the same number by taking the previous variable cost, 1704.20, and adding the marginal cost to it, 51.40, and sure enough, 1755.60 cents. Okay. All right. To get the price, we're going to divide. Remember, price is average revenue. So we'll take the revenue, 2536.80, and divide by the quantity, 48. 2536.80 divided by 48. That's 52.85. Good. Almost done. Just a couple more. Marginal revenue. That's total revenue. New total revenue minus old total revenue. So 2536.80 minus 2486.30. That's $50.50. Okay, great. And now we just need our averages here, which we just learned how to do, and it's really easy to do. We'll take our variable cost and divide it by 48. Variable cost is 1755.60 divided by 48. That's 36.58. That's rounded. 36.58. Now, average fixed cost is 500 divided by the quantity, because the 500 doesn't change, and that's 1042. Smaller and smaller. Okay, and then the last one, average total cost, is going to be the total cost, 2255.60 divided by the quantity, 48, and that's 46.99. 46.99. Now that's rounded. If you added these two together, you'd actually get 47, and that's fine. 46.99, 47. Okay, and that's it. We finished the whole thing. And I want to point out just a couple things to you, and then in the next lesson we're actually going to look at pieces of this in several ways. We're going to look at a lot on here, okay? But what I would encourage you to do is take this table, look at the patterns, go vertical and look at the patterns of the numbers. What's happening to the numbers? This one's staying the same. This one's going up by 1, okay? Now don't look at the patterns, like I said, on price, like how much. Just look at, in general, what's happening. Look, the price is going down. Now, if you have never taken an economics class before, you may not understand what I'm going to say, but if you've already taken macroeconomics, let's say, if you've already learned a little bit about like supply and demand, you'll notice here that as the price goes down, the quantity goes up. That's the law of demand. It's right there in the table. And it's a part of the revenue structure of the firm, okay? That the variable cost is related to the marginal cost if you look at it, but marginal revenue is generally going down, marginal cost is generally going up. Also notice that the averages, the average costs, like especially average total costs, is not the same thing as marginal cost. And I said that it wouldn't be. The marginals belong to, so 50 belongs just to the 41st unit, but $50.20 belongs to the 42nd unit. But the averages, this $46.34 is the same number for all 41 of these units. And I know that if this is brand new to you, that's a weird, heady, conceptual, abstract concept. But if you've been dealing with averages a lot in your life, or you know a lot about firm financials, then that makes sense to you. You get what that means, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and call it quits for this particular video. And in the next video, we will come back, we will look at this, and we will try to use this information to somehow or another figure out how a firm maximizes their profit.